What am I doing with my life? I just want to connect. Why can't I connect with people? Oh, right. It's because I'm dead. I wish I could introduce myself, but I don't remember my name. I think it started with an R. That's all I have left. It's kind of a bummer. I shouldn't be so hard on myself. I mean, we're all dead. This is my best friend. We even have almost conversations sometimes. They call these guys bonies. They'll eat anything with a heartbeat. I mean, I will too, but at least I'm conflicted about it. Nice watch. Much. Don't be creepy. Don't be creepy.
Alright, so that should have been some of the trailer for Warm Bodies. This is the new paranormal romantic comedy, because we need more of those, really. But,
we need a good one. We haven't had a good one yet.
Exactly.
Anyway,
now we have.
Yeah, so, this movie is about R. He is a zombie in a zombie-infested world. He lives in an airport, he walks around, he has thoughts inside of his head. He just wants to find meaning in his undead life. He meets a girl named Julie. He falls in love with Julie at first sight, it would seem. After eating her boyfriend's brains, he falls even more in love with her. He saves her from other zombies, and they start to he kind of locks her away to keep her safe from the other zombies, and the two of them form some kind of a relationship, it would seem. And from there, the zombies, Zarg kind of gets a little less zombie-like, and that kind of starts infecting the other zombies, and lots of romantic zombie hijinks ensue from that point. So, with all that said, Brenna, what did you think, in some brief thoughts, of Warm Bodies?
First off, I was really nervous going into it, because I thought it was going to be Twilight, but with zombies. Because, you have this traditional monster, zombies here, vampires in Twilight, falling in love with a human. So I'm like, this is probably gonna be really bad. And I walked away going, I like that. Because unlike Twilight, it's not a horribly unhealthy, flawed relationship. And he's not an ass, he's not a jerk. He actually seems to care about her. And she doesn't love him because he abuses her, like in Twilight. And on top of that, there's also some Romeo and Juliet stuff going on here. But again, unlike that, it's not a horribly flawed relationship, because Romeo and Juliet is so unhealthy. God, I hate that play. 13-year-olds killing themselves over each other is not okay. Anyway.
That was a great episode. During that time was like 26, so they're already middle-aged.
It's true. This is true, but still, they didn't even make it to any farther. Anyway, but I actually was really impressed with it. I thought I was going to hate it. Particularly, on top of that, I hate Twilight, but I'm also a huge zombie fan. So I'm thinking, the love and all this stuff, that doesn't work. That's not zombies. I'll never forgive it. But they set it up in their own world so well that they have their own rules, and they follow them to a T. So I could forgive them for straying from the usual zombie path. And everything else is so good that I was able to just completely get over all of my elitist zombie fan hang-ups and enjoy this movie. Although, what's her face? Teresa Palmer. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Looks exactly like Kristen Stewart. Could be her sister.
Just blonde.
Yeah, I heard people going, is that Kristen? Really? She's doing another one of these movies? Because I saw the trailer, I thought it was. And I was like, no, that's... But that, thankfully, her look-alikeness and the fact that it's a traditional monster in love with a human is where the similarities to Twilight end, because it's a good movie.
Cool. Abe, thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty good movie too, and it's very harmless. It doesn't really, there's not a whole lot of gore, there's not a whole lot of love. It's kind of just in the middle, and there's a lot of comedy actually. So the beginning where they're setting everything up, I do agree with Brenna about the whole entire world building and world setting with like the rules of these types of zombies versus the bonies, and how they're different. But yeah, for the most part, it's nothing that is going to be like, overly love-filled. There are moments that are kind of weird, I guess. But at the same time, I think that the direction of it, was well done. It's based off of a book, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they had some stuff to work with there. I don't know if people who read the book hated the movie, but I certainly enjoyed where they took this movie in terms of, you know what, there's like some elements of, this person becoming more human, and let's explore that, explore like the emotions that he goes through, while giving it some humor and giving it some, are they adolescents? They're probably not adolescents. They're like 20s, right?
Yeah, I'd assume so.
Yeah. But he has that
they're
face where he can look anywhere between like 20s or like little young teens.
Which
Exactly
they
what,
address in-
yeah, exactly what the friend says.
That's what I was quoting, yes.
Yeah.
How old are you? Because you could be 20-something, but you could also be a teenager. You know, you have one of those faces. Oh, my God. And I can't even smell. You don't smell rotten. He doesn't smell rotten.
But yeah, on the overall, it's a fun movie. I think that, you know, it's probably one of those date movies type, films.
It's actually probably the only good date movie out right now for Valentine's Day.
Besides, Bulleted to the Head, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
I totally forgot about that, yeah.
Or you could do what I want to do and just go to the Die Hard marathon.
There you go.
That's pretty Valentine's Day.
It does open on Valentine's Day.
It's a good day. I like this movie quite a bit too. I enjoyed myself, and for similar reasons as to Brenna, because I am also a big zombie fan. I mean, we've done a zombie episode on this show.
We did.
But I am very, you know, kind of quick to judge other zombie movies when they kind of stray from the standard template, you know, mainly the Romero type zombies. But this movie, the best thing I can say about it is that it did a good job of making me accept the fact that, yeah, the zombies think and they, you know, talk and things in this movie, and that's something that you certainly don't see zombies doing all the time. But I was able to go with it because I agree the world building's pretty cool in this movie. I enjoyed how it was set up, and I enjoyed the comedy the most in this movie. The romance, I would say, is probably the weakest element, just because it's there, and I guess you can, if you buy into it, good on you, but it's not.
He's pretty and she's pretty. That's enough.
That's pretty, yeah. That's kind of, that's the extent of it at that point. But no, I really like Nicholas Hoult in this movie as R. I really like the narration he's doing and kind of his zombie attitude, which is, I guess, a lot to say because he is, you know, playing a hipster in this movie, and I can take or leave that.
He's a hipster zombie.
He's a hipster zombie, but I was able to go with it because I liked him, and I liked him in Rob Corddry, who's really funny in this movie as well. Like, there's a lot of things that make this movie just work for me overall, even though some things kind of go underdeveloped, like the Bonies, for example, or John Malkovich, this movie could easily use more of, especially his intensity. It's like having Nick Cage not having him go into Rage Cage mode, but you have John Malkovich and he's just kind of like, hey, I'm here.
I was okay with the level of Malkovich.
I could have used in the sequel, Malkovich's Rise.
He just takes over like the entire state.
Exactly.
I think the dead are coming back to life.
That does sound crazy.
They're changing, Dad. They're I don't know, they're somehow curing themselves.
No, you know what is happening, Julie? What's happening is every day there are more of them and less of us. They are not curing themselves. We're their food source. They are not becoming vegan.
I did have one sort of overarching complaint about it, which was, is this apocalypse happening at a local level? Is it global?
Right.
Because if so, cleaning out your city doesn't mean anything, because the ones in the city 20 miles away can just walk up.
I thought about that too.
Why are you blowing up your wall? You haven't converted those guys yet.
The movie's certainly kind of small scale in terms of how it's telling its story.
So they should have been on an island or something.
Yeah. But then that'd be awkward, because that's a huge island, yeah. To your point about the whole entire, the part about eating brains, I actually really like that, primarily because I like the flashback sequences that they do. They're staged very well as the lighting. And then Rob Corddry, again, I think I brought this up when we were talking about the trailers, that he's actually being not Rob Corddry, where he's being loud and rambunctious. There are some moments where he actually has some really funny lines.
Yeah.
He's got some of the funniest lines in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he's actually that good at his being a zombie.
Uh-huh.
But I forgive it because Rob or not Rob Corddry, sorry, because Nicholas Hoult, right?
Yeah.
Because Nicholas Hoult is so good at being a zombie and having dialogue, and Rob Corddry kind of feels like, it's okay, I forgive you for not sounding as zombie-ish as he is because you say the funniest things in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But even you get Abe, you're
awesome bro moment.
Abe, yeah, bitches, man. But Abe, you're mentioning like the flashback stuff, and there's like Rob Corddry does some good. Like he has like a very funny scene where you see some of his past life, and you're like, okay, I can roll with this.
It's kind of affecting.
But even a friend of the show, Dave Franco, he's up there.
Friend of the show, Dave. Oh, great!
Friend of the show, Dave Franco.
Yes,
he made it. He made it to the list.
All right. Cool.
Friend of the show, Dave Franco. He like you think you're like kind of like, oh, I guess I'm not going to get to learn much about him. But then you kind of you go into his backstory and you kind of feel for Dave Franco, given like what you see, how you see his character evolve based on what's happening or what happened in the zombie world. And I liked how it handled that mixed with the idea of you eat brains and you get their memories. Like that's a neat concept that I haven't seen before. So
I think that implies that Perry is dead because I can't imagine him eating his brains with him being alive. So I
saw Hannibal, Ray Liotta scene.
Same thing. But I also felt the same way. I was like, oh, well, why would you use him? Why would you have him in this role? He's just going to die. Yeah. And then I realized that, no, we're not done with him. We're going to see so much more of him.
I totally thought that too. I was like, why is he promoting the show or the movie when he's got like, he's off at the 5 minutes. It's like, oh, that's well done. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Well played, sir.
Yes. What did you guys think of the use of the music, I guess the soundtrack to tune what Ara is also trying to convey? And as well as just, I guess, old school, like, rock and roll.
It's certainly not subtle in some of the song choices, but even that, like, there's one scene in particular where they kind of play a song that you think's gonna be like, oh, this is really cheesy, and then they like, call it out. They call it out, and it's like, okay, that's actually, that made me laugh quite a bit, because they kind of stopped it in its tracks. It's like, yeah, we get that it's ridiculous to use.
But, you know what? I think that a lot of people in the theater where we saw it didn't recognize the song until they started singing.
Okay.
Kind of depressing. But they didn't get the joke, so we're sitting over here cackling, and everybody else is like quiet. I'm like, oh, do you not? Oh, I guess. Oh.
But
you don't know what song we're talking about either.
But overall, I mean, I did like the soundtrack choices. I mean, I think because was this from director Jonathan Levine? He has a good handle on choosing soundtracks in his movies, like 50-50 and the whackness. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the soundtrack. I'm surprised that this movie doesn't have its own soundtrack on out.
Oh, they do?
They do. Yeah, it seems like
I wanted to buy it.
Yeah, I kind of like. There's like a. I could even put it in the show notes. There's like someone put up an article that has the list of all the songs used in case you wanted to create your own soundtrack, but the movie didn't have its own soundtrack release, which is surprising.
They didn't get the rights for selling it independently.
I guess, but it's like this is from Summit. They did Twilight movies. I feel like they have the cash to put this together. Like,
it's all spent on making the Twilight TV series, so they can't spend.
Did you have thoughts on this soundtrack, Gabe?
I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it kind of reminded me of, well, Drive's not the same kind of movie, but sometimes when they played music in Drive, it kind of conveyed some of the emotions of Ryan Gosling, primarily because he doesn't say anything at all in the movie, except I'm gonna kick your teeth in. So yeah, it's kind of like I like when they do.
It's weird how he says nothing at all in the movie until that one point, and he says, I'm gonna kick your teeth.
Yeah, and then you're like, I remember this woman was sitting in front of me. This is for Drive. She was sitting in front of me, and she's like, "Oh, damn!" And I was like, "Yeah, that's creepy." But yeah, I certainly enjoyed the soundtrack in this movie. I always like when things play well, direction and choreography of the scene, and also music. So we've talked about what's his face, what's her face, and what's his face a lot.
Romeo and Juliet.
No, I was thinking more of the guy who did Hannah.
Oh, Joe Wright.
Yeah, Joe Wright. Yeah, so, I certainly enjoy aspects when things go well together.
Yeah. In terms of the direction of this movie from Jonathan Levine, I mean, we talked about the world building. I think he does a good, for a movie like this that's obviously not like high budget, you can tell, especially when you watch something like The Bonies. I think it's a good looking movie, and I think he does bring kind of a style to it that fits for the most part. Like, hey, you mentioned like the flashbacks and kind of the look of those. Yep. And then even just kind of like, here's this world, and here's this giant wall, and there's zombies here, and the zombies look fairly good. The Bonies look decent-ish. Like, I think it does a good job making the best of what it has for the most part. So I enjoyed it. And like the sets, like the airport set, like you can tell there's only like 3 places they got to film this movie, but I think it does a good job of like putting that all together.
They're pretty awesome places though.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, that makes perfect sense having like an airport as like your main setting, cause like, yeah, there would be zombies just kind of roaming around, not doing anything all day.
Because people were trying to leave. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point about the whole entire world building, yeah, I think that it's to his compliment, Jonathan Levine's compliment, that he doesn't actually show you like too much. He kind of just shows you this is where they live. This is kind of like the outer wall and stuff like that. So they don't really focus on it. So they don't have to like show you these great detailed, giant walls that they've built over years, or like a massive airport that has tons of like refuse and dead bodies. So it's just like, oh yeah, you know what? Here's 3 airplanes. Here's 1 terminal. Here's one street of a suburb house, and I think they only show like the wall twice or 3 times in the movie, and that's all that you really need to go on, because the characters kind of take up the rest of the space, which is admirable, because the film is not that long. It probably doesn't have a huge budget, and it does what it needs to do.
I've said this before, and I will say it again, that
I love being a turtle. Is that?
Yes. I think probably one of my favorite parts of this movie is just how perfectly spot on the tone is. Because they takes things that you wouldn't expect to be sweet or romantic and makes them sweet and romantic. Like, eating brains is sweet because he's trying to learn more about the pretty girl. Or he smears blood and guts on her face. But it's sweet because he's trying to protect her.
Exactly.
Stay safe. Yeah.
And so, being able to make those kind of things sweet and romantic in a movie during the apocalypse where people are getting eaten is very skillful. I give props.
Yeah, to that point as well. I mean, they're able to make you have these types of visceral reactions. I mean, there's a point where he's eating brains and then he just spits it out because bad trip, man. But no, I mean, that was kind of one of those situations where it's like, oh man, you kind of feel sorry for this guy, and there's a very, very valid reason why, because he all of a sudden feels remorse, and also the dream sequence was really cool because it's almost like Freddy Krueger where they start talking to you, but it's well done because it brings up questions, and that kind of brings me into another point of this movie has some things to say. Some deeper things to say if you want to think about it on that level, contextually, just with the whole entire notion of, are we already zombies right now? Because there's like the whole entire scene where it's like, I miss what would be happening right now. They kind of just profile everybody on their smartphone and games, and it's interesting. So yeah, if you want to take it another step up, it's just, there's some nice things that they're saying about how you should enjoy life.
Yeah, like most good zombie movies, there's a layer of social commentary in there, and it's not necessarily the most subtle or the most importantly thing handled, as opposed to something like the Romero movies where they make it a very interesting way to watch those movies when you think about like Dawn of the Dead and consumerism. But like, it does have that aspect in there. Yeah, like you're saying, and I agree. It fits for a movie like this that has so much going on, that sets up a lot, which is kind of my main problem with the movies, that it just kind of, it sets up a lot of things. It can only accomplish so much, but it's most successful as a comedy for me. But, I think it does have that kind of like, remember we're all good, and like, everyone's just looking at their smartphones while walking to the airport.
Remember when we were, abstract zombies instead of actual zombies?
And, the whole entire notion of the way that he describes the Bonies, he's like, oh, they've just given up. And so, I don't know, you could read more into that however you'd like. But yeah, I found the movie to be, fun overall. So.
Any last thoughts before we do a rating?
It's cute. See it on a date.
Sakyat.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Alright, so then we'll give it a rating then. Each week on Out Now, Fair and Abe, we try to rate movies based on when you should go and see them, and we have a scale that goes from IMAX to theater to dollar theater, Netflix, HBO, TV, or just kind of forget about it. On that scale, Brenna, where would you put Warm Bodies?
I don't think it comes out on IMAX.
It's more of a when you. It's a rating. It's like a.
Yeah. Like, IMAX would be like, oh, you got to go see it right now. Pay any price.
Oh, I would say theaters.
Yeah.
See it theaters. on Valentine's Day.
There you go. Abe?
Yeah, I'd say a dollar theater. It's not really certainly that's like something that you need to rush out and see, but it is something that you should see in the theaters.
Yeah, I give it a theater too. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.